So this is maybe my favorite part of this class. Look, I like all the parts, but because this is where I spend most of my time in my company, Iron Oak Energy. Granted, our focus is just on financing renewable energy projects, infrastructure, and companies. So here it's a broader discussion. But really, again, as I mentioned in other videos, this is the reason that I moved from being, say, an environmental scientist, an environmental manager, someone literally in the rainforests of Central America 20 years ago, to working in finance, because there is great power in moving capital in directions where you can create, yes, environmental or social benefits, while also delivering market rate financial returns, and sometimes better managing financial risks. First, how much money do you need? So hopefully you've gone, or you will go through the process of creating a spreadsheet in order to understand how much the business needs, both for external costs, so paying, who knows, designers or a whole host of other things, servers, branding, etc., as well as the soft costs, let's say, to cover right, to cover those ramen noodles that you'll be eating, stereotypical, of course, but your needs as well. Sometimes investors will fund those, other times they won't. Certainly, the more money you're asking for, there's the expectation, of course, that you will use some of this capital to feed yourself. So look, if it's a small amount, in this case, I'm drawing the lines based on roughly what these would look like in the U.S. Lots of variation by company, by sector, by region of the U.S. still. So these are all wrong, of course, but generally correct. Less than 50,000 U.S. dollars. That's kind of your family and friends round, as they call it. Of course, this also includes your own capital. The next level up, between 50,000 and a few $100,000, would be where you're seeking outside angel investors. These angels are high net worth individuals. They're investing on their own account personally. They typically have to pass certain requirements which state that they're either sophisticated and have a certain net worth and or income level, such that the loss of their angel investment would not be too detrimental, right, to their financial position. Once you're over a few $100,000, you're talking about a venture capital raise, or look, if you're talking about a project of some sort, an installation of some sort, an asset, a real asset, then maybe you're talking about private equity, and the numbers can be much larger. Do you have market traction? Do you have a proof that you need in order to raise capital from outside groups? So have you run pilot projects? Do you have results from those partners on the pilot projects? Do you have any paying customers? Of course, that's the holy grail. How many do you have? Are they paying the price you want? Are they paying an introductory kind of a price or discount, if you will? Do you have strategic partners or advisory board members with, look, big brands who don't just apply those big brands to just any old startup unless they believe in it? Which investor is best for you? Don't just seek capital from wherever it might be available. You do want cultural fit beyond just the financial terms. You're likely entering into a multi-year partnership. The average angel investment is roughly 4 or 5 years. Venture capital could be longer. Ditto for private equity. The ancillary benefits might matter more. So, can the investor help you with a network, a certain channel to market that matters to the success of your startup? Are they going to be engaged and offer helpful advice along the way, or are they passive investors? Is there strategic alignment with other investments they have, other businesses they have, such that they care more about the outcome of your success? And finally, could they invest in future rounds of financing as your company grows? It's nice to have one relationship that you can grow with versus having to prove yourself and negotiate new terms with new investors. Similar points, you really need to understand your investor. They are not all the right fit for your company or for you. As you talk to them, make the story in large part about them. How are you addressing or managing their risks, and what kinds of financial returns do they expect. So here a study from 2016 about angel returns, where the IRR, the internal rate of return for these projects, is roughly 22%, and the equity multiple, or total cash out versus total cash in, is roughly 2.5x. How long can they wait to see the financial return? Again, the average for an angel level investment, 4 to 5 years. Certainly could be shorter, could be longer, regardless of the amount of capital or the type of investor in your startup. Are they sophisticated in your sector? Ideally, they are, so they understand the risks and rewards, but can also add other strategic advice that can be helpful as well. What if they lose their invested capital with a high net worth individual? They need to be extra careful to make sure they pass certain tests of net worth and income. Lastly, are they interested in non-financial benefits as well? So how do you get in front of these investors? Well, it's not easy. Working your network is a key part of the game. It's nice to know someone who knows someone who can be that connection between you and the investor. So seek out those mutual connections. LinkedIn, of course, or similar tools are very, very helpful in this regard. And consider ways to develop rapport, things you have in common with them as well, whether it's geographies where you've lived or studied or whatnot, traveled for fun even, places you went to school, hobbies you have, university studies, or online groups that you both belong to. These are starting points. Much, much more is required to get in the door. Things like, I don't know, are you credible, accomplished? Does your business have a strong pitch, which we'll talk about in the next slide. So how do you make a great pitch? Well, ideally, you don't want it to be too long, right? You want to leave a lot of room for questions, and you want to ask the questions and allow time to be asked questions as well. Make it a conversation after your pitch. Try and connect emotionally with a story or two. Also convey your passion and determination. By the way, I heard the founder of the 5-Hour Energy drink, by the way, he became a billionaire through this particular product, although he was also a successful businessman before that product, and spent many years in spiritual institutions, let's say, I'm guessing ashrams and the like in India. So very, very cool individual. But my point is, he talked about the difference between kind of passion and determination, where determination is what you really want, that if you get knocked down, you get back up again and again and again and again, etc. Finally, some collateral that you would need, a one-page PDF summary, a paragraph summary, and then something like a 15-slide PowerPoint as well, depending on the use case, the type of conversation you'll have with a prospective investor about your opportunity. Key conclusions. You will likely need to raise outside capital to launch your business. Relying on your own cash is risky and will result in slow progression. Number 2, remember, investors need you just as you need them, so please don't beg, right? Now look, it doesn't mean it's the right fit, you and the investor, but if there are no investments, the investor does not exist. Lastly, be honest about the risks. If you try to hide things, they will come out in the due diligence process, and that will not be a good day for you. Lastly, questions for you. Number 1, how much investment capital will you need for your business and for your basic needs until cash flow is sufficient? Create a spreadsheet and ask others for their opinions. Number 2, if you need to raise capital for your startup, who are the first 5 people you'd ask and why? Do you have their phone or email? If not, how do you get it? Better yet, go see them in person. Lastly, have you created a one-page investor pitch? If not, then review this module's readings and try to do that this week. Great. We will see you on the next video.